Well, hey, book lovers, welcome back to another of our live book readings. I'm so excited because today we're reading the first part of The Goose Girl and the Artificial. This is my Goose Girl retelling. So y'all know the original tale, or maybe you don't. I actually did not know this story until right before I wrote it. Now, this was actually part of an anthology, and I had written another story for this anthology, and because somebody else wrote something very, very similar unintentionally, I volunteered to pull that one, release it on, and recommended the Goose Girl story, which I found to be absolutely horrifying and traumatizing, and I tweaked it to make it way more acceptable in my world, and we put a dystopian spin on it. So let's go ahead, and we're actually going to take a look at the Goose Girl and the Artificial. Real quick, let me read you the blurb so you know what we're talking about, and then we're going to dive in. What would you do if your artificially intelligent handmaiden stole your identity? Threatened by her artificial Arta, Princess Goselyn is forced to switch places and pretend she isn't human when she reaches Prince Corinth to negotiate a treaty that they both need to be able to take their respective crowns one day. If she doesn't comply, her artificial, controlled by her evil cousin, will not only kill Goselyn's mother, but Prince Corinth and his father as well. Can the quiet princess outsmart a machine created to be more intelligent than she is, all while surviving the other artificials and robots working against her in the foreign palace? Or will Corinth and his father find out and destroy her chance to save them all? So this is going to be a fun one. I'm excited for this one. I am going to use my blue light blocking glasses so that I don't burn my eyes out while we read. You guys know that happens a lot because I do a lot of computer work. And we're going to jump in and we are going to read the first part of the Goose Girl and the Artificial together. So let's do this. You don't have a chance, Arta sneers. You lost your key. You have no control over me, and in case you've forgotten, I'm designed to be smarter than you. My father always used to tell me that if I had to lose to someone, I should lose to someone who wasn't as smart as I was. That's hard advice to follow when the person that you're losing to artificially created to be smarter than me. I trail behind Arta as she walks away from Val. My dress swishes behind her as she moves. If they're smarter than you, they will know how to stay on top. If they aren't, you can beat them at their own game. Arta is definitely smarter. Behave, I tap Val on the head. He beeps quietly, slipping into sleep mode. Greetings, a man sings, walking swiftly toward us. Thank you for making the journey. My son has been waiting for you. Thank you, Your Highness. Arta dips gracefully into a curtsy. This is my artificial. She waves her hand at me. What might your name be? The king asks. Goselyn, sir, I say softly. Arta waves a finger behind her back, reminding me to follow orders. Artificials aren't required to bow to humans, so I hold my pose. There are a lot of things I'm going to have to remember to do now. Come along, ladies, the king turns, guiding us toward the massive palace. Panels along the hallway will mimic exterior windows, morphing into different scenes based on the king's biometric readings. The device around his neck reads his movements and controls the devices around him, including the settings on the fake windows. A door slides back in front of us. Wait, what? A door slides back in front of us, courtesy of the device. Ooh, y'all, cold readings. Courtesy of the device, opening up into a stunning parlor. The walls are covered in red and gold tapestries, a stark contrast to the purple and silver in my own palace. Princess, a young man says, jumping to his feet as he sets his book down he had been reading. Thank you for coming all this way to handle the proposal. Arta nods graciously to him. I think this will be a productive visit for us, she remarks, gathering her long skirt, my skirt, in her hand. I'd like to freshen up after our journey, if you don't mind. Perhaps we could begin our negotiations this evening? Certainly, Princess Sylvain. He nods to her, referring to her by my official title. I haven't said country names in a real long time, guys. In Ute, the royals are referred to by their station and country as a way of identification. Outside of our own countries, people rarely know our first names. You may call me Arta, my artificial informs him as she swings around more gracefully than I ever could and waltzes away. When I don't follow, she snaps my name. We follow a short robot down several halls and up 2 flights of stairs before we step into Arta's room. Red floral curtains are drawn back to reveal the gardens in back of the palace. You may go, she dismisses the robot. It scurries back to its home base until it's needed again. This is lovely. I can't wait to see it burn. They're going to figure this out, Arta, I protest. Her short dress around my calves frustrates me. In Sylvain, we distinguish humans from our recreations enhanced with artificial intelligence by wardrobe, though I'm considering changing that rule once I take over if this is what they have to suffer through every day. Then again, I can't feel the sensation of uncomfortable clothing, so that's wrong. Then again, they can't feel the sensation of uncomfortable clothing, so perhaps that shouldn't be my first decision. They won't have time to figure it out, Goselyn. You yourself didn't realize what I was doing until after I had taken your key away. Do you really think a boy like that will figure out our plan? They're as easily replaced as you are, and just as unfit to preside over the countries of Munte. Your cousin has a plan, Goselyn, she addresses me as she sits on the bed. Your kind cannot withstand it. The artificials will keep this country from functioning. Oh, no, not from functioning. The artificials will keep this country functioning. Y'all, it's been a day. My cousin programs many of the palace artificials. His work offers him access and power, but it's never been enough for him. By destroying this proposal, we don't need Sylvain and Dallaire working together on this. Let's face it, neither country makes the best decisions, he reminds me. Now go sit. I make my way to the corner, settling on the small sofa where I will be sleeping for the length of our stay. Don't get any ideas about warning them either, Arta snaps. You know I have your key. I can control anything I want back in Sylvain. Your mother is only safe as long as you cooperate. I understand the terms, I growl at my artificial. I'll pretend to be you and let you destroy my reign in order to save my mother. I glance down at the marble floor with its intricate pattern swirling into twists and turns. If only I could return home. Ridiculous diplomatic mission, I mumble under my breath. I couldn't have just stayed home. No, I had to go and be the problem solver and do my duty and traipse off to a far-off country to fill a silly little requirement before I can eventually take over the throne. A knock sounds at the door, and we both turn. Arta slices her hand in the air, motioning from me to the door. I'm a servant now. I step back as I open the door. An artificial stands outside, holding a tray with a pitcher of water and 2 glasses. He steps inside and places it on the table. Prince Corinth will meet you in half an hour downstairs in his office, Princess Sylvain. He nods to Arta. He turns to me. You may come with me if the princess is no longer in need of your services. You may go, Goselyn. Do whatever they ask you to do and don't get in the way. The artificial leads me down the stairs, past the parlor where I met Prince Corinth earlier. He wasn't bad looking. His height had surprised me a little since I had heard all of Dallaire was on the short side. I had heard he was rather brilliant, but I suppose I'll never find out. The palace grounds are covered in flowers. The palace grounds are covered in flowers and stonework. Paths swirl as far as the eye can see. The artificial leads me beyond the stables toward the fountain. We don't have any real need for you, but you can assist here, he says, gesturing toward the lake. The lake grounds are meant for enjoyment. The swans and geese are only permitted to get so close to the waterfront. You need to monitor the birds and keep them in their respective areas. I nod, completely terrified. I have no idea how to keep large birds at bay. Ganda's in charge here. Speak to him if you need anything. A tall artificial walks up to me imposingly. An artificial would not flinch, so I command my body to be still. You will monitor this area, he motions to his right. This is how we handle the birds here. He demonstrates the proper techniques for keeping the birds where they belong. One pecks him in anger, but he doesn't acknowledge it. This could create a problem for me as someone who actually feels pain. I spend the rest of the day on a log, holding a shepherd's crook to corral the geese with. As late afternoon arrives, Gan chases the birds back inside a building where they are fed and sheltered at night. I don't understand the purpose of having creatures if they're going to be shut up every night. Why not spare the entire area and set them free off the palace grounds? I settle back into a standing position near a log, waiting for the birds to attack. Now, I am going to end this here because this is a novelette. It is a short story, so this is very, very short because it had to fit inside of an anthology. And so that's actually, we're going to pause because I don't have chapters here. It's just different sections of the story. You can get the full Goose Girl and the Artificial story, which you can read without my stumbling over words by going to goosegirlinfo.kmrobinsonbooks.com, and you can check out a copy of that over there, learn a little bit more, see if Goselyn can actually defeat Arta, who's being controlled by her evil cousin. Things do get dark, things do get twisted, and we got some cool things going on inside of this story. And so I hope you guys will check that out. And let me know, what book do you want me to read next week? We do jump on and we have these live readings every single week. Usually I'm a little bit better at reading and not stumbling over my words, but today has been a day full of video recordings, which means my English is not so awesome right now. Thanks for your grace on this one. But I want to hear, what do you want to hear from me reading next week as we continue this series? And do you think that Prince Corinth is going to figure out what's going on and help Goselyn? Or do you think he's going to be oblivious the entire time? There's a lot of fun stuff inside of this one, and I can't wait to see what you all think of it. Thanks so much for joining me for this live book reading. I will see you next week for more fun, and of course on the YouTube channel for more videos all week long. Over on TikTok, where we're doing some really cool things with our brand new series over there, and on Instagram and Facebook as well, where we've got some really cool content you guys do not want